Hello, welcome to IELTS Academic Expansive and Exclusive. I'm your instructor. I'm your friend Sagun Samrat Sangrola. And this is the basic class of IELTS with slanted E. E stands for expansive and even exclusive. And let me begin with the basic question. What is IELTS? So while responding this question, I find my students telling me IELTS is an international English language testing system, but IELTS is not international English language testing system. It is just the full form of IELTS, which is prone to change. What I demand is the concept of the test. So when I ask you what is IELTS, I want you to tell me the concept of the test, and that is IELTS is a test of synonyms. Let me tell you again, IELTS is a test of synonyms, and I will be repeating this sentence many times, maybe 100 times, because this is the vital sentence. This is the basic concept of IELTS, and I will even make you understand what do I mean by IELTS is a test of synonyms. Before that, let's begin with the basics. And as you know that there are 4 sections in IELTS. There are 4 sections in almost all of the preparation courses ever made in the world. And those sections are listening section, reading section, writing section, and speaking section. They take your test in all of these sections because they need to make sure that you will exist in the foreign land. You can speak in English, you can read in English, you can listen, you can understand when somebody speaks to you in English, and you can even write in English. So they want to make this assurance that you will exist in the foreign land where people speaks in English. People speak in English. And IELTS, in IELTS, we do not have marks such as 100 marks, 50 marks. The result is marked in band score. We have band score 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 and 9. So your target will be to achieve band score 7, and the target of this class is I want you guys to achieve band score 8, because this is the detailed class. You will find everything in this class. You don't have to go anywhere. That's my promise. And you can even remain in contact with me. You can simply contact me whenever you want, or whenever you feel the need to contact me, whenever you are confused with any of the teachings, or whenever you have to submit your assignment. Now we will begin with listening section. So there are 4 sections or 4 parts in listening section. You have a total of 40 questions, 10 questions in each section. Let me show you the questions for you. Let me show you the questions. So let's see, these are the questions that you will find in listening section. This is section 1 and this is section 2. There will be section 3 and section 4. In each section you will have 10 questions. For example, this is section 1 and you have question number 1 here. This is a fill in the blanks question, and this is a multiple choice question. So in section 1 you have 1 to 10 questions, right? And in section 2 again you have 11 to 15 questions and 16 to 20 questions in a different page. Here you can see questions 11 to 20. Okay, so each section consists of 10 questions. So altogether there will be 40 questions. And the audio, you will listen to an audio, and while listening to the audio you need to write the answers. You don't have time to write the answers. You need to write the answers immediately after you listen to the audio. It will be 30 minutes audio. Sometimes it can be it can be 28 minutes, sometimes it can be 32 minutes. In average it's 30 minutes. Okay, and now let me go to the vital part of the listening section that I have not written here. Let's get back to the question. Here we have section 1, section 2, 3 and 4. So the advanced basic of this listening part will be given in the listening section classes. So you can jump to the listening section and go to the class 1 of listening section, and you will get the advanced basics there. But still, let me tell you, in section 1 you will be hearing 2 voices, in section 2 you will be hearing 1 voice, in section 3 you will be hearing 2 to 3 voices, and in section 4 you will be hearing 1 voice again. So to remember, to make it easy for you to remember, you can simply remember it as 21 voices. Okay, 21 voices. That means in section 1 2 voices, in section 2 1 voices, section 3 2 voices, section 4 1 voice. Now you may ask me, why are you telling me about the voices? What are the significances of the voices? You will find everything in class 1 of listening section. And let me get back to this questions. And when you listen to the audio, it's not that they will simply play the audio and they will give you the answers of 40 questions and ask you to write the answers while listening to the audio. It's not the case. They will pause the audio time and again. They will give you time to read the questions. So it is not that difficult as you may be thinking right now. Okay, for example, in section 1 they will ask you to read question 1 to 4, and they will give you 30 seconds for you to read question 1 to 4, and after that they will again give you some time to read question 5 to 10 and play the audio. So there will be ample time for you to read the questions, so you don't have to, or you don't need to worry about reading the questions. In section 2 also there are certain fragmentation. In section 3 also they fragment the section, they give certain time for you to read the question in between. But in section 4 they do not fragment the section, there is only a 5-second gap somewhere in between the section. Okay, that is the case. And now how do we learn this listening section? So what do I do? My method is, first of all, I will categorize the question into 2 parts. Okay, there are 2 categories of questions in listening. First we will learn fill in the blanks questions. In fill in the blanks categories we have form filling questions, note filling questions, flow chart questions, table questions. So first of all we will do those sort of questions. Then after that we will come to multiple choice questions. In multiple choice question we have standard multiple choice question, and this is the standard multiple choice question. We have matching questions, choose 2 questions, and map questions. So the approaches of doing each questions are different, and we will talk about all the techniques in a detailed form, and I believe that those are the exclusive techniques, so you don't have to worry about any of the questions, any of the techniques. Everything will be told in the class in details. Now let's get back to okay, and the last thing that I need to tell you is, in listening section everything appears in an order. For example, first of all they talk about this information, then they'll talk about this, they talk about number of hours, after that they talk about work permit, and then they'll give you the answer of question number 2 and 3 and 4, and they'll talk about free dinner. That means all the questions, all the information appears in an order, so that will be pretty easy for you to follow. Okay, everything appears in an order, and this is your question paper. While you listen to the audio you need to write your answers on this question paper, and after the audio is finished they will give you 10 minutes extra time to copy the answers to the answer sheet, and the answer sheet looks like this. Now if the answer of question number 1 is, let me tell you how do we need to copy the answers, because this is very important. If the answer of question number 1 is, let's say the answer of question number 1 is type of work. Okay, the answer is teaching. So you heard them talking about, okay, what type of work, and you heard them saying teaching. Then you will write your answer here, TEACHING, teaching. Now while you copy this answer to the answer sheet you should be very careful, because while copying you need to copy in capital letters. Now while copying the answers you need to write TEACHING. You need to write in this way. You must write in capital letters. There are cases of writing in small letters, but they are sometimes more confusing. I'll be talking about these things in our class, but I recommend you to copy in capital letters while you copy the answers to the answer sheet. Okay, so I hope I have made things clear. So let me wrap it up. So how do I wrap it? Is in listening section you have 4 parts, and each part consists of 10 questions. There are 2 categories of questions: fill in the blanks and multiple choice. We will learn about each question separately in separate classes. And while listening to an audio, you need to copy the answers to the you need to copy the answers, write the answers on the question paper, and after the audio is finished, they will give you 10 minutes extra time, 10 minutes extra time to copy the answers in an answer sheet. The answer sheet looks like this. They have numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 29, 30, 40. So you need to copy the answers on this answer sheet, and you need to copy it in capital letters. All the question and information appears in an order. Let's go to reading section. Ah, in reading section, we have 3 passages. So one passage, the word limit of one passage can be 2500 words. Sometimes it can be 2200 words, and sometimes it can be 2800 words. So in average, it can be 2500 words. There are 3 passages and 40 questions as in listening section, and you have altogether 60 minutes to to do this test, to do the reading test. But the bad news is you don't get extra time to copy the answers to the answer sheet. In listening, you get 10 minutes extra time to copy the answers from the question paper to the answer sheet. But in reading, you do not get any extra time. So you need to do it in 60 minutes. And we have 13 questions in first and second passes. This is not paragraph, this is passes. 13 questions in first and second passes, and in third passage you get 14 questions. So the standard format of reading test is passage 1 is the easiest, passage 2 is easier, and passage 3 is easy. So there's nothing any difficult. If you compare these 3 passages, you'll find passage 1 the easiest, passage 2 easier, passage 3 easy. But sometimes I've even found that passage 2 can be made difficult than passage 3, but it's a rare case. If you go to the standard format, passage 1 is the easiest, 2 is easier, and 3 is easy. There's nothing difficult if you know how to do or how to solve the passages. So 40 questions, 60 minutes. And in reading passage also, we have 2 categories of questions. The one is order question, and other is non-order question. So we will talk about order question and non-order question in details in our listening class. You can simply jump to the first class of reading section, and there I have talked about order questions and non-order questions. Now we will go to writing section. Okay, we'll go to writing section. In writing section, we have 2 writing tasks, writing task 1 and writing task 2. In writing task 1, you are given certain visuals. Visuals means pie chart, graphs, that means bar graph, line graph, table, diagram, map. You can be given 1 line graph or a mix of 1 line graph and 1 pie chart. You can be given 1 diagram or 2 diagrams. You can be given 1 map or 2 maps. You can be given only 1 pie chart and 1 table. There can be mixed question, or there can be only one of these visuals. Okay, nothing is guaranteed. And let's see the questions. See, so they can give you 1 bar graph like this, or they can give you a mixed question like this. So there are 2 pie charts here. Okay, there are 2 visuals, there are 2 pie charts. You need to write about this pie chart for writing task 1, and you need to write it in more than 150 words. So you cannot write it in 149 words, you must exceed 150 words. So you can write from 150 to 200 words. You can even write till 250 words, but the more you write, the more time you consume and the more mistakes you can make. That's why your target must be to write in 150 words to 180 words. Okay, 150 to 180 words, that can be your target. So this is all about writing task 1. And writing task 2, in writing task 2 you need to write an essay. So there are different parts of essays, but I do not talk about the parts of essays because I do not believe that there are actually any parts of essays in IELTS. I will categorize the essays again as I did in reading and listening section. So there are three categories of essays in listening in IELTS test. The first one is opinion essay, the second one is discussion essay, and the third one is discussion opinion essay. So we will talk about these categories and we'll talk about each categories. I'll give you ample sample answers. Okay, so you don't have to go to the internet. And I recommend that while you do writing tasks, I don't want you to go to the internet and look for the band 9 answers, because the band 9 answers kept on the internet are actually not any band 9 answers. Okay. And you need to write your essay in more than 250 words. So writing task 1 more than 150 words, writing task 2 more than 250 words. So you can write from 250 to 300 words. You can write 400 words or 500 words, but I don't recommend you to write 500 words because it consumes time and you are liable to make mistakes when you write more than necessary. Okay. And altogether for writing task 1 and writing task 2 you have 60 minutes. It is recommended that you spend 20 minutes for writing task 1 and 40 minutes for writing task 2, and it is also recommended that you begin with writing task 2 and later on go to writing task 1, because this carries more marks than this. So uh, this consists of band score 9. Each section consists band score 9. So in this case, writing task 2 holds band score 6 and writing task 1 holds band score 3. So altogether it's 9. So this is a heavy task if you compare it with this one. Okay. Now we will go to next section, and that is speaking. In speaking, you have three parts: part 1, part 2, and part 3. Now you may be thinking, it is difficult for me to memorize all these parts and questions and all. Let me tell you, it's not necessary for you to memorize all this, because when we do listening, you will automatically remember each and everything, because I will be telling you these things repeatedly. Okay, that's why it's no need for you to memorize. I just want you to get introduced with IELTS test. This is just a basic class, and we will do everything about these things in details after this class. So there are three parts in speaking. Part 1 is named introduction, part 2 is named long run, part 3 is named discussion. So these are the formal names. Part 3, the formal name of part 3 is two-way discussion. The formal name of part 1 is introduction. The informal name is warm-up section or warm-up part. Part 2, long run. The informal name is prompt question part, or you can even say cue card part. Part 3, two-way discussion. Now in part 1, the introduction part, so you will get 10 to 12 questions about yourself. Questions like what is your favorite music? Do you like to cook food? Do you read books? What is your favorite book? What is your favorite movie? Do you like to visit your neighbors? See, these are the questions relating to yourself that will be asked. Now, the examiner will not ask you questions like, when did Hitler kill himself? They will not ask you questions like, when did the USA drop the bomb in Hiroshima? So these GK questions will not be asked. So in speaking, you will be facing an examiner. And let me tell you, the exam of speaking will be held on a separate day. So the examination of listening, reading, and writing section will be held on one day, and the speaking exam will be held on a different day. It can be 2 or 3 days after or before this main test. Okay, so you need to face the examiner, and you need to answer the questions that he asked you, he or she. Okay, now let me continue with speaking. So you will be asked 10 to 12 questions relating with 2 to 3 topics. The examiner may say, let's talk about music. and then the examiner will ask you 4 to 5 questions related with music. And after that, the examiner may say, okay, now let's talk about education, and or let's talk about your schooling, let's talk about your hometown. And the examiner will again ask you 4 to 5 questions relating to the topic. Okay, this is as simple as that. So there are 3 topics, and this part will be this part consists of 4 to 5 minutes. It will not be more than 4 to 5 minutes, and you need to answer in 2 to 3 sentences or 4 sentences. You cannot simply answer with yes, no, or you cannot simply answer with in one word or simply in one sentence, because if you do so, it will be difficult for the examiner to evaluate your speaking. Okay, after that we will go to part 2. It is known as long run. You will be given a prompt question, and so if you want to know what a prompt question is, you can go to speaking part 2 and have a look at the prompt question. And after getting this question, you will get 1 minute time for preparation, and after 1 minute, in that 1 minute time, you can make note. You will be given a paper and a pencil to make note. You can make note, and after 1 minute, you need to speak for 2 minutes continuously. The examiner will not interrupt you even if you make grammatical errors or any other errors. Okay, so your aim, your target is to speak for 2 minutes continuously. You can speak for 1.5 minutes or 1 minute 45 seconds or 2 minutes. The more you speak, the better your result will be, because you need to speak at length. And that is not only your target, your answers should be organized. So while I teach you this part 2, my mission will be to make you speak for 2 minutes and make you speak in an ordered way. Okay, now we will go to part 3, and this is a discussion part. So questions relating to part 2 will be asked in part 3. There will be 5 to 7 questions. If you give longer answers, then they will ask you 5 questions. If your answers are shorter, then they may ask you 7 to 8 questions. Okay, so the number of questions actually depend upon the length of your answer, even in part 1 and in part 3. Topic related to part 2, I have already explained this. You need to give detailed answer. Now in this case, you should not only answer in 2 to 3 sentences. Your answer should be detailed. Your answer should be explained. You can even give examples while explaining the answers, because this part is already named discussion part. So this is all the basics, all about the basics of IELTS. And first of all, we will begin with the reading section, but in your real examination, they will first of all give you the question of listening part, and after that reading part and writing part. And after that, you will go home and your speaking test will be held on a different day. So it can be before this test or after this test. Okay, let's do this much for basic class. We will meet in reading class, the first reading class. Thank you.